Okay. Before we get started, we put on the website, we put on the consultation form, where we start recording training sessions and sessions and consultations. So here, looks like when she gets frustrated, she starts jumping on you?
Yeah, she jumps on me more than him.
Okay.
Yeah. She pulls on the leash a lot.
Okay.
She doesn't, she knows basic commands, but she doesn't listen a lot. Like she'll do them sometimes, other times she won't. And she was really excited around other dogs. So walking with a lot of dogs in the area is difficult. And yeah, when
she's just really excited in general.
Yeah, she gets excited easily.
Okay.
But yeah, she's like in the last couple weeks, she's been trying to hump me a lot, and then will like bite, not hard, but enough where it's, and then she won't stop when I say no and down and all that. So, hey, sit. Good girl. Good girl.
How old is she?
She just turned 1 in April, so she's about 13 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then is the prompt like I think it's a prompt, or is it a slip chain?
Slip.
It's a slip chain?
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody that was a prompt. Okay, so she gets really excited, she gets mouthy.
Yeah.
In terms of like obedience and control, like how much control are you trying to achieve?
As much as possible.
Okay.
Like she jumps when you come in the house, and she does it to visitors. And just like not aggressively, but definitely like on hind legs. And we're saying down, down. So as much as possible, I'd like her just to be one of those, she listens. That's kind of.
Sure. How about for you?
Same thing, just my biggest complaint is on the walks. Like I'll walk her, I'll try and calm her down, hold her, like rub her belly. She's pretty good, but just seeing like birds or other dogs is probably the most inconvenient thing.
So she's got prey drive?
Yes.
Okay. With just birds or like squirrels?
Rodents, squirrels.
Squirrels are
everything.
really bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like pull my arm out of my socket.
Okay.
Sit down.
Anything else?
Good girl.
Other than that, she's a pretty sweet dog.
She's really
you know?
sweet, yeah. And she's when we were training her, like she's really food motivated, so she'll do things for treats. That helps.
Sure. Anything else?
I think that's it.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. It's pretty straightforward stuff. I'm assuming you guys did research on us and how we train this stuff.
Yeah.
Right, so
I watched a
you
lot of
color.
YouTube videos and stuff. Yeah.
Sure,
Which is
okay.
fine with us.
Sure. So we use remote collar. In my book, it's the most effective and efficient training tool. Plus, it gets you off-leash reliability. It's the only tool, in my opinion, that does. Because food, if there's something more rewarding than the food, she's not going to care about it. If you use like a prong collar or a slip chain or like a social leader, it gives you much better control. However, if you take the leash off, now you no longer have control anymore, right? So now you can't make her return.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas with remote collar, on or off leash, you have the means of getting her to comply. Okay?
Sure.
So then it all comes down to just like, how much control and everything like that people are wanting. Are you familiar with the technology of like e-collar and stuff? Like what it is?
Is it the same as a like a vibrating shock collar? One of those?
Or what do you mean?
Like it goes in like frequencies of like vibrations, higher to like a kind of like an electric fence feeling.
Okay,
It goes
so
off.
so electric fence. Well, have you guys ever been to a chiropractor or physical therapist?
Yeah.
Have you ever had where they put the circles with the wires
Yeah, like-
in the muscles?
The wires.
Yes.
I haven't
It's
had
on the
that.
10. It's a TENS unit. They use like in the chiropractic offices, physical therapist offices. They use a lot of sports rehabilitation therapy. Have you ever seen those commercials like work out your abs while you watch TV type of thing?
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
The muscle stimulator. That's an e-collar.
Got it.
Okay, so like an electronic fence and e-collar are technically the same kind of tool.
Yeah.
Except electronic fence is more simple because it's simply to keep the dog within a confined space, right? We don't want the dog running out the yard or out the property because they get hit by a car, they get lost, things like that. So the electronic fence may have like 5 levels, whereas e-collars that we use have 127 levels. And the difference is 5 and 127 are the same, but we have 122 divisions more. So we can really fine tune it. But for the fence, like, we're not really caring, right? It's just like, don't run up the fence.
Right.
So with remote collar training, it's a bit more nuanced, it's more refined. It's not like, say, sit, if you don't do it, you just zap the dog, that's what usually a lot of people think.
Right.
We have to shape things, so even if the dog knows sit down and stay and all that stuff, with food, prong collar, I get a lot of dogs that are actually already trained on an e-collar, just they weren't trained correctly, in my opinion.
Okay.
Is that we have to reteach or relayer in the collar over everything. So like the client I just came from right now, their dog knew how to lay down and everything with treats, but didn't know it with remote collar. So we have to reteach it with remote collar,
Yeah.
right? So it's like a different language, so to speak, okay?
Okay.
So it's just a muscle contraction. They use the technology in humans all the time. You can even go to Walgreens and go in the back section and you'll see it looks like a little bone. It's called a TENS, T-E-N-S unit.
Okay.
And you put it on your back so it can move your back muscles to help ease pain or alleviate like tension.
Okay.
Same technology, okay? So it's just a muscle contraction, and the reason why it's effective is because dogs are physical animals. So like if she got out of line with another dog, maybe she was too excited or too friendly, that dog would snap or bite at her, right? And it doesn't make that dog aggressive. That dog's just saying like, hey, your energy is too much, right? Tone it down. So they're using physicality to deter her from jumping on them or to get her to settle, right? And that's a dog's primary form of communication. It's body language and physicality. So the e-collar allows us to be physical at the press of a button. So I can tell people it's like a bite on the button. So I can use it to stop things and I can use it to teach things. So we can shape commands, sit, stay, down, come, place, heel. We can also use it to teach her not to do things. So like we can use it to correct jumping. You know, we can use it to teach her how to have better impulse control around prey. We can use it to teach her to heel and to sit and to come and all that stuff. Okay. So obedience and behavior are different things.
Yeah.
So a lot of people look at obedience as a means of fixing behavior. So like if a dog is jumping, a lot of people say like, oh, the dog needs to learn how to sit. So then they can't jump. But if the dog is excited and you tell them to sit, they'll just break the sit because they're excited, right?
Makes sense.
So, or simply, to be simpler, I don't put the dog under any command. I come in and she's like, hey, it's a human. She jumps and I correct her for jumping. And I'm like, I don't care what you do, just don't jump, right?
Right.
Like it's simpler that way. Now, can we teach obedience and response? We can, but I always start simple by correcting the behavior, and then if people want more, we can shape other things like sitting. Okay. But it's people tend to think that obedience is the answer for the behavior, and it's an answer, but it's not always the like right answer. Okay, because for us, the jumping is something that a lot of times we don't want, especially with a large dog like this. Is technically, if you don't say anything, she can jump, right? So she waits for you to say sit before she stops the jumping, or she waits for you to say off before she stops the jumping, right?
Yeah.
And I would want her to just learn like, don't jump.
Don't jump. Yeah.
Okay, and that's like a flat rule. So, and we cover all that stuff. It's really simple. It's just learning the way we think and the way they think is a bit different. So then people tend to approach dogs kind of like as a human would think, and it's much more simple than that. Okay.
Sounds
So,
good.
so the first thing we always teach is to heel, which is how to walk in a leash. At our side, on the left side is traditional. Some people train on the right side. I personally don't care, but we have to have a fixed.
She likes the left side.
She does the left side?
Yeah.
Sure.
Because I try and fight her over to the right side because I'm a right-hander and it feels natural with me, but she loves the left side.
Sure. So yeah, we always start with the heel first, because if you put an e-collar on a dog and you start pressing the button, what you'll most likely see is them move. Okay, they typically want to move away. Since they don't know what it is, their first instinct is typically flight response. So we want to, of course, never want the dog to run away from the collar. We use the heel command to teach her that when you feel this, don't try to run away from it. Instead, come to me. Okay, more specifically, come to my left side. Okay, and then it's a very simple exercise. You said you've seen some of my videos, right? So we always start with that first. There's so many benefits to the heel. It fixes like 70-80% of most behavioral problems. And it's the foundation for shaping everything, okay? Because it helps teach her how it turns on and how it turns off. Plus, most people walk their dogs at least 3 times a day, every day of the week. So it gives you something that you practice on a regular basis.
For sure.
So that you develop your skills and how it works, and she gets more comfortable with it because she's getting exposed to it on a regular basis. So the heel has like several purposes, okay?
Okay.
That's typically a 2-class exercise. By class 3, we most likely start jumping into recall, which is the common called. The behavioral stuff that you mentioned earlier, like the jumping and like the frustrated biting and nipping and all that stuff, the jumping itself is an easy fix, okay? The frustration biting and jumping would most likely be resolved by simply teaching her how to walk correctly, okay? Because since she's gonna be more passive and dialed down, because she sees a dog, she gets overwhelmed, right? She can't get to the dog, she gets frustrated, and then you're the closest thing, so she really.
That's what she does every time I won't let her play with the dog. She
Exactly.
turns on me.
So what
Or
we're
like
gonna
bring her
do,
in the house too early.
Yeah.
So I still want people walking.
Sure.
It's true, yeah.
so with the heel, what you most likely see is, I mean, we'll be walking by dogs and she's not gonna care,
That's amazing.
okay? And then if she's not caring about the dog, there's no frustration built up, there's nothing to redirect,
Right,
okay? So that's how that works.
Got it.
Now, could she still become frustrated? Absolutely. But we can also use the e-collar to correct her,
Okay.
right? So like if I got frustrated and I didn't like started throwing a tantrum, I'm gonna just smack him upside the head and like cut the crap, you know? So the e-collar is our means of physicality. So if she's doing something, it's like, nope, you can't do that. I know you're frustrated, but you still can't do that, okay? And it's all the press of a button.
Cool.
So by class 3, we can jump into recall. The behavioral stuff is very simple because it's simply don't do that, okay? So like let's say barking out the window. A lot of people will recall their dog, call them to come, the dog comes, and then the dog will go back to barking out the window. And the owners will complain like, am I gonna call my dog and just go back? I'm like, yeah, because your dog performed the task. Come, just get over here.
Yeah.
But nothing said don't bark out the window.
Okay.
So now we gotta correct barking out the window, so the dog goes, okay, there's a consequence if I perform this behavior. I'm gonna opt not to do that behavior,
Yeah.
okay? So once you understand how that works, behavior is so simple because it's simply don't do that. Don't jump, don't bark, don't bite, don't lick, don't chew, don't whine. Yeah, just don't do that. I don't care what you do, just don't do that, right? Obedience is control to allow you to do more things with your dog. So if you can walk her and she's not pulling and not, being a brat and stuff, you're gonna do more walking and take more places, right?
Right.
When you have recall, you can let your dog off leash, enclosed, unenclosed areas, because you're not worried about your dog running away. You can get your dog to come back.
She's a major flight risk.
The other thing would be stationary control, right? So like that's a dog bed right there. So if we send a dog there, they'll stay there for hours. So if you want to go to a restaurant, you want to bring her with you, pop a towel down.
Yeah,
You know?
we can't do that.
Or you can tell her to down, and she'll lay down, but she won't move for 2 hours.
Right.
Okay, so the obedience is meant for you to do more things too, for you to be able to do more things with your dog. Okay,
Yeah.
so how much obedience we teach is just how does your life with her look like? Okay, so we have 3, 6, 9, and 12-week programs. Think of it as a 3-week program is I just want to walk my dog. The 6-week program is I want to walk my dog, go to parks. 9-week is walk my dog, go to parks, go to restaurants. And 12-week is we do all that, plus we go hiking, we go to a lot of unenclosed areas, we go to forest preserves, we take her to friends' houses, like this dog goes everywhere with us.
Sure.
So then we do everything, okay? And that's where we start to build towards off-leash reliability, okay? Now, there's 6 commands: sit, stay, down, come, place, heel. Those 6 commands are meant to be functional, okay? So if I say sit, it's put your butt down and don't move until I release you. If I call her, I don't care if she's chasing a squirrel or she's playing with her best friends in the park, it's you get over here and we're gonna go home and there's not gonna be an argument, okay?
Okay.
That's how that stuff is supposed to work.
Yeah.
However, I think now, because positive reinforcement is such a popular method of training, these things have kind of become tricks, things that dogs do.
Right.
And if they don't do them, it's because they're a dog, right? And it's because the ceiling for positive reinforcement is very low.
Yeah.
With remote collar, it like any scenario, like you should have control of your dog, especially in emergency situations.
Yeah, that sounds great.
So, in terms of what command needs to be off leash reliable, it's always a recall. Every other command is if the owner wants. So all those 6 commands, sit, stay down, come, place, heel, can be built to off leash reliability. Whether or not you need all 6 to be off leash reliable is a different thing. Okay, so the only one that matters, of course, is recall, because it's not off leash reliable. And she starts to run off towards something or run away. Now we have a problem.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're like in the 6th to 12th class range,
Yeah.
depending on how much control you want. Okay, And actually, are you trying to do in-person training, or are you trying to do like a daycare training, board and train type option?
What do you suggest would be
So-
most beneficial?
I'll give you the pros and cons. In person, the pros, you learn way more, okay? Because it's all hands-on. I'm there with you. I coach you through it. I rarely, if ever, have to touch the dog.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're learning everything from ground zero. So you develop a lot of good handling skills. The con is it takes longer, right? Depending on how much control you're wanting.
She does better in person, or where you just do the boarding, the dogs.
The dog will do good either way.
Oh, okay, so it's
Yeah,
just.
I'm not worried about the dog, because this is a simple case. It's just the preference for you.
Gotcha.
So the con of doing in person is it takes longer, because I have to teach her, right? Then you're gonna go off and you gotta practice. The other con is I'm booked till July right now, so there's gonna be a bit of a wait.
Okay.
With the board and train or daycare and train option, the pro is we get more done within a shorter time frame. So think of 1 week of our time as 3 weeks of your time, okay?
Okay.
So here, within 1 week, we teach all 6 commands: sit, stay down, come, play, seal. The reason why the dog is here longer is we can take those commands to a higher level the longer we have the dog, okay? So what we've done is started recording the first session of everything that we do with the dog. So in the first week, it's usually like a 1.5 hour video, and it's everything that she learned from the get-go.
Okay.
So you see her kind of raw, okay? So because you still have to learn how your dog learned. So then you get the video, you would watch it, and then you would set up a follow-up lesson with Enrique. He's my facility training manager. He handles all the daycare trains and board and trains, okay?
Okay.
So then what a lot of people do, well, they'll have their program, they'll take their dog, they'll have their program, if they get the video before the program's up, like if they're doing a 2-week program, they'll watch the video, and if they're doing the daycare and train, they would pick up the dog at the end of daycare, and then they practice what they learned from the video, after hours and on the weekends and stuff, right? If someone does a board and train, they'll have their videos, they'll watch them, and I'll tell them, just go and practice what you learned for 2 to 3 weeks.
Right.
And then come back for a follow-up to go, this is where I'm struggling. This is what's not clicking for me, okay? So the video is essentially there to teach you. You practice, you make mistakes, or whatever, you find where you need help, and then you follow up with us, and then Enrique helps kind of close that gap, okay? So the pro of the board and train or daycare and train option is we get more done within a shorter time frame. The con is, the other pro is we have more media availability, because that's something that's done here. My staff does all the training, the dogs being worked by different handlers, and whether they do a daycare and train or board and train, they train all day. Okay. And by all day, I mean she's practicing stationary work where she's on the bed, she's not moving for a couple hours, and there's dogs on the treadmill, there's dogs playing, there's people coming in and out for training sessions, so there's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
Then she has training sessions with the handlers where they work with the heel, like all the 6 commands.
Right.
We employ the training as we go about the day with her. So like, if we're taking her out to go potty and all that stuff, heel, we're using all that stuff, using the stay, using the command, so it's being applied throughout the day.
Okay.
They'll go on training walks like Home Depot and stuff where we expose them to distracting environments to make the obedience more realistically applicable. So we can get you in sooner. The cons are the trainings associated to us, right? We're training the dog, so when we say heel, she'll do it, but then if you say heel, she'll like, can you make me do it? And that's why we have to transfer things, right? So that's why we have the follow-up lessons, and that's why we
She
have
seems
the
like she wants to do a good job all the time. It's just that we're not guiding her the right way, But like, it seems like she'd be able to pick it up.
Yeah, I've not had a dog in 10 years that I've not been able to train using remote collar.
Awesome.
So the pro of in-person, learn a lot more.
Yeah.
You're doing everything yourself. The cons, takes a little bit longer, which is fine,
Mm-hmm.
and it's gonna be a bit of a wait.
Okay.
Board and train, daycare and train option, pros, you can get it sooner.
Mm-hmm.
Cons, trainings associated to us, we do have to follow that up with you.
Mm-hmm.
Other pros, we also get more done within a shorter time frame.
Right.
Okay, so,
Is there any type of like hybrid, like we do a few of the, what was it, like the daycare training, and then also do a few in July, when your availability is for in-person?
you could, but with the daycare and train, you would get follow-up.
Okay, so
Right.
you really wouldn't need.
So it's
It's like a combo kind of. Right.
But it would be with
Oh,
Enrique.
I see, okay.
Yeah. So like,
Okay.
cause I was doing all the follow-ups and like per private clients, and I was just like, there were like, people were having to wait so much longer
Yeah,
because, of my availability. So
Okay.
then I just, gave everything to Enrique, so he does all the follow-ups, he does all the training for these guys.
Yeah.
So that people, if they want their follow-up, they're not having to wait a month after,
Okay.
for the request.
that makes sense.
So it's technically, you get both, so it's, let's say you do a 1 week or 5-day daycare and train, which is considered 1 week.
Okay,
Board and train would be 7 days overnight.
Okay.
So with the daycare and train, after the 5 days, in that meantime, you would get a video, right? From Enrique, hour and a half long. As soon as you get that video, you can start practicing stuff.
got it.
Okay. And then when you're ready, whether it's a week after she completes her program, or 4 weeks after,
Mhm.
you schedule the follow-up, and then he helps you with whatever you're struggling with.
I
Okay?
see,
Now, with any program that you do, there's still work on your part.
yeah,
Okay? It's just all the foundation is there, the capabilities are there.
Mhm.
Now you're trying to catch up to what your dog is capable of doing, right? So it's
Right.
like buying a car with like all these neat things that it can do. What can the car do? You can pop on the slip. There you go.
in the video, does it tell you, like, what, I understand, like, you're showing what she's learning, but does it show you, like, kind of what we should say in the moment? Like, what, or does it just kind of show how she learns how to heel?
Yeah, so it's like he's teaching you, like he's explaining everything, the concepts, what he's doing.
Okay,
He's showing us how to do it.
got
Yeah,
it, in the
but
video,
he's actually training at the same
at
time.
the same time, I see,
Yeah.
okay, cool.
Yeah,
So
and
we
if you
know
go to
what
our
to do.
website, if you go to the videos,
Yeah.
and I have playlists, and you'll see some that say like daycare and training and board and training.
Got it.
It's we call it the explanatory sessions,
Mhm.
because we're explaining everything. So we explain what your dog's levels are, how to recognize your dog's levels, because
Okay.
every dog is different.
Yeah,
And then he goes into teaching the heel, then he goes into teaching the specifics of heel, then the place command, the stay command, the down, like he does all of them, right? And you're seeing her at the beginning of each session, so it's not after she's learned it, she's learning real time, right?
Okay.
Because life isn't perfect,
Yeah.
things are gonna happen, and like, let's say that we get a dog that panics during the training, it can happen, we get some dogs who are flighty,
Mhm.
we walk the dog through it, whereas, and it could not look good, but that's not us making the dog flighty, that's already a flighty dog.
Yeah,
And so when we're working with them, it gives the owner a visual, like, okay, if my dog starts doing this is what I'm gonna do to work the dog
I'll
through
talk
it. Okay? So that's why the first video is so long,
Yeah,
because it's everything, right? So let's say she did like a 2-week program. You would get one at the end of the first week, and then you would get one at the end of the second week.
Mhm.
And the second week's gonna be like, now this is where your dog is at. And you see like the progress.
yeah,
By the second week, we're already pushing the dog to long leash, building them towards off leash.
okay,
Okay?
yeah,
So, whichever, it just comes down to like how good you want her to be. So think of like a 6-week program in person is like a 2-week program here, a 9-week program is like a 3-week, and then a 12-week program is like a 4-week
I
here.
see.
Okay?
Okay,
The daycare and train is done during daycare hours, 7 to 7. So you
Okay.
can drop her off, first thing in the morning, you pick her up right before we close. Board and train, she will be here overnight, and she'll be here for like the length of that time
okay,
of at least 7 nights. Okay, and then a 2-week program will be like a 4-day program. Okay.
yeah, okay.
Other questions?
Do you train her, like, when you're doing, like, the daycare training, and is she with other dogs? Like you said, is she just seeing everything, or can she interact with them as well?
No,
Or is
she's
that part of
social.
the
We
training?
integrate.
Okay.
So it's she gets to partake in the daycare stuff too,
Cool,
but she's gonna be more training based.
great, okay.
Other questions?
When we were looking at it, we were just thinking about the in-person, just because we figured it would be good to be there with
Sure.
her, but, I like the sound of the daycare. Wait, I had a question on the tip of my tongue. does she need to be spayed
Is she on spade?
She's on spade right now.
Has she had a heat already?
Yes.
Okay, when was the last heat?
February.
Maybe we have like a few more months?
Yeah.
Yeah. Should be fine. We just have to make a note so that we don't put her near unneutered dogs.
Okay.
So we don't require dogs being spayed or neutered, but when we do get the females, if they're in heat, we're like, yeah, no females in heat because dogs will go crazy.
Oh, yeah, so we're not anticipating that to happen until the end of the year.
Yeah.
Another one, and then we can get her spayed. But yeah, so I just want to make sure that was okay in terms of the daycare instead of like in person.
Yeah, and then I probably just tell my staff, like, make sure, she's with no males or whatever.
All right.
Just make life a bit easier for everybody.
Cool.
But yeah, as long as the dog's not in active heat, like, it's not a problem.
And the collar, is that something we purchase?
Mhm.
And where do we get one of, do we purchase it from you?
You can get them on Amazon, you can get them through us.
Okay,
The one that she would need is the Dog Show Black Edition. It's meant for 70 pounds and over.
okay,
So it's the best collar. It's a 1 mile range, fully waterproof system, both the transmitter and the receiver. It has a LED screen, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way to 127 in increments of 1. It has a light up backup screen, so if at night, if you're adjusting the numbers and all that stuff, you can see what you're doing.
great,
It's the best collar in my opinion.
okay,
There was an older model called the 3500 Super X, which I had used for like 10 years, and it was such a great e-collar. Then when they discontinued it, they're like, well, we got this new one, like I was completely like anti. But then I tried it, I had like a couple of Rottweilers that we trained on it, and a couple of bigger, like massive mixed dogs, and it's been great. So I really like it. It's a really good tool. But that's one that she would need.
Okay.
So we have them here. You can also get them on Amazon.
okay, great.
If you get them through us, within 30 days, if something pops up, like it's a dud or whatever, you simply give us the system back. We'll give you a new system. I deal with the company myself.
Got it,
If it's after 30 days, you would submit your collar to be repaired, but then you let us know and then we'll borrow you a loaner. So
okay,
you're not left without it, because it takes them a couple of weeks before they receive it, repair it, and send it back.
sure,
And then after training, is the collar, e-collar left down there for like ever or for a couple of months?
good question,
Or-
yeah, is this like a forever thing, yeah?
So one of the most common questions I get is, when does the e-collar go away? In my book, when you need it, it doesn't.
Okay.
So what that means, when you're outside and you're gonna go on a walk, you have it on. If she's a great dog inside the house, you don't need it. If you're gonna have guests come over and she gets really excited, you have it on.
She's acting up again, kind of like a reinforcement type of deal.
Right, so you guys drive?
Yes.
You go to the expressway?
Yes.
Do you go the speed limit?
Yes. Well, I do for a little bit before I go over. You know what I mean?
So most people don't go the speed limit.
Right.
You see a squad car, what happens?
Go the speed limit.
Exactly.
Same thing with her. Yeah.
Think of the e-collar as a cop on a collar. This is
Yeah,
called opportunistic behavior. All animals do it, including humans. And we know better, right?
Okay.
We know that there's a law in existence that says don't go above 70 miles an hour or you'll get a ticket, right? But we still do it because we know there's no threat of consequence. So here, for her, e-collar is like a cop on a collar. When it's present, she's gonna go, okay, you have means of being able to stop me and correct me. I'm gonna be more well behaved.
okay,
So it's nothing good or bad. It's nothing to do with the training or the training methods. That's just how it is.
yeah,
So it's like those, I don't know if you saw those videos that were kind of going around, the trends where like, someone said, like, don't eat this piece of candy to the kid, they're like, I'm gonna eat back. And then you can have it.
Right.
And some kids would just eat it because there's no one around to make them not
Sure.
eat it, right?
yeah,
So, it's the same thing. It's opportunistic behavior. So like, it comes from survival instinct. So if there's a pond of water with an alligator in it, and the animals know, they won't drink the water. But if they see the alligator leave, they'll all come and drink water, and if it comes back, they'll leave.
yeah,
Okay, so taking opportunity, right? Taking that opportunity to get what they need and leave once that threat is gone.
okay,
So same thing here. Now, are you always having to use it? That's like more of a variable type of question. It comes down to, are you consistent?
right,
Okay, so here, we remote for everything, okay? And we don't give the dog the opportunity to decide otherwise. Whereas most people will give a command, hope the dog does it, and if the dog doesn't do it, they might repeat the command, and if the dog doesn't do it, then they'll use the remote. So
right,
dog learns a delay. But if I say sit, it's sit tap, down tap, place tap, come tap.
right,
Every single time, so she thinks, well shit, if I'm gonna try to beat that, I gotta move like this, right?
We'll
So
just leave it on her all the time.
yeah.
So it's really just how consistent you are with that stuff.
Okay,
The other factor is, are you willing to go to the level that she needs, right?
Mhm.
So that's one of the biggest things that people struggle with is going high enough on the collar. Size, breed, temperament, sociability, none of that stuff affects the level of the e-collar, okay? She determines that. So I have 2 Aussie Doodles right now, okay? They're both like 16-pound dogs. One of them, the number is 80. The other one, the number is 20. Okay? Two
Got it.
vastly different numbers.
Yeah.
But the one that's at 80 won't listen to anything less lower than 80. Okay? The one on 20, super sensitive. Doesn't need anything more than 20.
Okay.
So we either help you find that number. If we're
Yeah.
doing in person, I coach you through it. I teach you how to recognize that. If we're doing a daycare or board and train option, Enrique makes a video where he has the collar on. He's like, I'm going to teach you your dog's connection, perception, and working level.
Okay.
How to recognize that.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, of course, when you do your follow-up sessions, he'll go into that more, if needed.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
Other questions?
That makes sense. No, none that I can think of between training, e-collar. Yeah, I don't have any other questions.
Okay. In terms of, just so you're aware, I mean, all this stuff is on my website as well. If you go to my website, you can look at all the pricings and everything like that, and you'll
Yeah.
also see what you'll get with each program, okay? So the longer we have the dog, the more follow-up you're gonna get, and then whether it's a daycare train or a board and train, you get a video for each week the dog is here.
Okay.
Okay, so if you do like a 10-day daycare and train, that's technically 2 weeks, right? You do get 2 videos. 20-day daycare and train would be 4 videos. Same thing for a board and train, 1, 2, 3, or 4 week, you would get 1 video per week. And each video we're advancing the dog, okay?
Okay.
So the first video is always the raw first lesson of everything.
Yeah.
That's the longest video.
Mhm.
Second one is on the long leash. The third one is she's in the pen with other dogs and we're applying the obedience in that setting around
Okay.
distractions. And then the 4th week is they go to Horner Park, they take the dog and they start to show you how to start practicing all that stuff to build towards off-leash reliability, okay? Now to get a dog completely off-leash, it takes time. We can get you really close, but you still have to go out and you do have to do your homework, okay? Because there's only so much stuff we can do here. Now we do take them out and everything, but we don't have squirrels in here, right? We don't have rats and rabbits and all that stuff
Yeah.
to work around. But that's all stuff that when you get her, you're kind of doing that alongside us,
Right.
to advance her training on your own time as you're learning, kind of developing your skills as a handler. Other than that, because she's a social dog and everything, like, it makes this easy. Because I don't always give people the option of they can train or board and train.
Mhm.
Because if it's a behavioral thing, like if it was like bad reactivity or something like that, or if there's any type of aggression, I
Yeah.
always tell people, don't do the board and train, you're gonna do this in person. Because
Okay.
you need to learn how to handle your dog's aggression.
Right,
Right.
right.
When it's just obedience and like simple jumping type stuff, it's
Yeah.
very simple.
Okay,
So it kind
great.
of opens you up to more options.
Great.
Other questions?
What's your availability for outside of in person?
For daycare and board and train?
Yeah.
Oh, we can get you in pretty quick.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, if you're gonna do that option, what Maria will do is pass you off to Kim.
Okay.
She's our kennel manager.
Great.
So Maria's sole job is just my calendar.
Okay.
Okay, so to make her life easier, she's passing on board and train daycare train scheduling here. Plus she works from home, so she doesn't really know what's going on
Sure.
here.
Yeah.
And then Kim will get you situated.
Great.
She'll email you, and then you'll kind of let her know what options or which length of program you want to do, and whether or not you want to do like a daycare and train versus
Okay.
a board and train. Board and train, of course, we have her for a period of time. Daycare and train, we drop her off, pick her up at the end of the
Yeah.
day. So you get her back. You do get less follow with the daycare and train
Right.
than you do with the board and train, so just be aware of that.
Okay.
It's on the website, you'll see that. And then,
And if we do decide to do in person, like we'll talk about it, whatever. Do we just reach out to Maria?
yeah,
Or
you can say,
Nancy?
hey, we changed our mind.
Okay.
You can let Kim know, we're gonna just wait for Jessie.
Cool.
And then email Maria, and then she
Okay.
will get you my earliest availability, because she's gonna cross-reference your calendar with my work calendar,
Yeah.
and then see where she can fit you in.
And when you do one-on-one training, is it with other dogs as well?
We're at House Park.
Okay,
Yeah.
and so is it like all your clients that you
No,
scheduled that one
it's
time?
just
Oh,
us.
it's just the three of us. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All
no,
right.
it's just us, and when I say us park, like, Lincoln Park, yep.
Yeah. Mhm.
Because there's so much
Oh,
distraction.
Lincoln Park, yeah.
There's
Yeah.
so much crap going on there. It's super busy.
Well, and that was one of the reasons we saw that on your website, and I was like, that's really great, because we take her there a lot, and it's one of
Yeah.
those, like, it's a nightmare.
And
for
your
us.
follow-ups can be there too, by the way.
Okay,
So yeah, so when we do your training, we were doing facility, we do facility if it's inclement weather, obviously during the winter time and all that stuff. And now that it's warming up, we're going back to Oz Park because
Okay.
we get to be outside all day.
Yeah.
And the owners love it because they're like outside and like all the stuff's going on, they're learning how
real
to like
option, yeah,
do everything, plus it's functional.
okay.
People always are always amazed, they're like, we're here in the middle of Oz Park and like, this is working. I'm like, yeah.
And that would be me if that happened. I'd have to see it to believe it, because she's like nuts, but yeah.
As long as you're willing to go to the extent needed, right? So like if I'm like bump it to 60, and you're like, oh Jesse, I feel bad, I don't know if I can do that, and you don't do it, well, we're not gonna get anywhere.
Oh my God, I just feel bad. No.
Yeah, but and there's videos of it on our website, you just have to go back to like the summer of 2020, and you'll see us outside.
Gotcha.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
so these ones, because we're just transitioning, because the weather's, it's spring.
Right.
It's hard to like predict, but I'll tell Maria that we're gonna just start pushing towards Oz Park now,
Okay.
for everything. Anything else?
No, I don't, and with obedience and behavior training, like, does her age play into the
Nope.
factor that, no?
I have an 8-year-old dog right now.
Okay.
Actually, I had a 10-year-old dog earlier.
Because somebody was like, she's a little old for that, and I was like, wait, is
Nope.
she? No.
That's a myth.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Remote collar, I've trained dogs as old as 12,
Okay,
Mhm.
great.
so not a problem.
No, I don't think I have any other questions. That sounds all really good to me. Exciting.
Okay. So then,
Okay.
what I would suggest is kind of mull it over.
Okay,
You know, if you want to do daycare board and train, you can just let Maria know, she'll put you in contact with Kim.
yeah, sure.
If you want to work with, and if you change your mind, you just email her back and, hey Maria, we're actually going to just wait for in-person with Jesse.
Okay.
Please let us know what's availability. Otherwise, right off the bat, you can just tell her, like, please put us on queue for a sign up on the calendar.
Yeah.
And she'll let you know when the next opening is.
Great. Do
Okay.
you do all of your in-person trainings at Oz Park on, like, all during the week, or is it just weekend, or is it daytime?
No,
Is it-
it's all during the week.
It's all, okay.
Yeah, it's just, we were
Cool.
still here because of the weather.
That
But,
makes
yeah.
sense. Mhm.
But once I'm there, I just stay there all day and then,
Got it. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
other questions?
Nope.
No, I'm excited.
Alright. Yep, I don't pick up anything here, seems like a pretty straightforward case. And then you can just review the site and then see which option best fits.
Yeah, we'll just talk about which one we want to do, and then we'll just reach out to Maria, but we're definitely gonna do one of them, that's for sure.
Sure, yeah, whatever you need.
Right, Byrd? Yeah, right? But thank you so much.
Yeah, no, thanks a lot.
Information, I'm excited.
Mhm.
So if we do decide to move forward with either of them, will Maria also like shoot us a link to the Amazon e-collar, like should we get that ahead of time?
Yeah, so she'll give you your options
Okay, cool.
and then,